Yeah, yeah. Well, welcome to this session today. And yeah, I feel such a joy for being here. Helena kind of invited me this week and to see if there was something that was inspiring in my mind, a movie that would really touch the heart. And I felt something of like an adventure come into my mind. Something felt very kind of like expansive, a feeling that was starting to come in. And this year, I feel in particular, I don't know why, but I feel like this big energy of something quite expansive. And I know David has talked about this year too as being a year of the old falling away or of things that no longer serve us falling away. And something feels really beautiful about that. The past is starting to fall away. And instead, we're starting to feel something very expansive that's coming in. And I see it in reflections this year of, I can see Sam and Lauren on the screen. Like you guys took off this year on your trip into Holland and had no idea, not starting in Holland, going to Europe and like had no idea of what was going to come next, the miracles that were going to unfold. And you're totally in it right now and taking it day by day and seeing how the spirit will provide. And and I feel something with that, with this energy of being right on the edge, of being right in the miracle, because it's the most alive thing ever. It's the most alive place to be, like sitting right at the edge, where it's also like, okay, spirit, just show me. I have no idea what's coming next. But something feels so vast about that. Yeah, this year also too. Just I booked a ticket with Helena to Japan a couple days ago, and that's going to be later in the year in July. But something feels very inspiring about that too. And I've often heard about Japan even talked about as being like another world. It's like any kind of like customs that you're used to, even coming from Mexico in particular. There's a certain way of doing things and talking with each other, and Japan is just a totally other thing. But something feels expansive about that too, like a totally new scene, the unfamiliar, going somewhere where you don't have anything old to relate to, not in the same old ways. And so you're really there right on the edge. And what I feel also is like I feel this desire to want to connect and to connect in a deeper way. And I know there's a gigantic heart calling there. And that's what feels most inspiring for me right now is this call of the heart and wanting to connect with my brother. I'm feeling my own call for love that's coming through. And I guess it hasn't always felt that obvious to me, maybe before, but now it's just like even the desires of wanting some kind of form outcome or this would look great to me, this kind of if I could be here or this kind of property or whatever it is, or even some perception of like what does it mean to be like even like a spiritual teacher, or those old kind of concepts, they start to fall away like more and more. And then you're just left with, I really feel my heart wants something sweet. It's like calling for this sweetness, this kind of like sweet connection. Yeah, and with that too, I just kind of feel like there's this falling away of the past. And like I mentioned, like there's something where, I love that song that David sings. I can't remember the lyrics now, but like it's the one where like everything's, fine, but not great, like but not good. It's that song he sings about like, everything's going along fine, but it's not good. And somewhere that's becoming more intolerable too, like just being okay with being fine. Yeah, I kind of feel like we're calling for something much larger, something much more expansive in our mind, where we start to feel like I really want my heart to feel like it's glowing. I really want to feel like I'm really in this glowing presence with my brother, and I feel like I'm totally lit up. So there's something in this movie today that I feel like is calling that forth from me. And Yeah, I don't know whether. Yeah, so the movie I have in my mind is Walter Mitty, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I can see some smiles here. It's one we watched a few times before, but it's been a while for me since the last time I saw it. But I love this movie so much. Um, every time I watch this, my heart just opens up. It starts to feel so expansive. And in this journey too with Walter, he's going to go from a life that looks is okay. He's fine, seemingly, but he's living a very small version of himself. It's a very small self-image. And what's beautiful too, even in this movie, is that it starts with the calling of the heart right away. You'll see there's something in him where you'll see he opens up his little schedule book and he has all these things planned. His life is kind of like planned and organized. But then you'll see he's also opening up to there's somebody at his work, Cheryl Melhoff. And she's like this one that he just feels like his heart starts to glow when he's near her. And there's something that's drawing him, this attraction of love in his mind. And so there's an opening there. There's a crack towards something that feels more expansive. And yet there's such a high fear level of intimacy as well. And this movie starts with this hilarious scene where Cheryl is on eHarmony, this dating website, and so is he. And he's found her on this site, and he's just like standing over his computer. He won't even talk to her at work yet. And he's found her and he thinks he has to kind of come about things in this kind of he thinks he's being romantic. He has some kind of like idea, but it's really like a cover over being direct and like going directly towards her. But he's so afraid even just to send a wink. There's like a little action you can send in this dating app, a wink. And he's like, oh, I don't know. And you'll see even seemingly when he kind of goes for it, the computer fails because it's a reflection of his mind. He's like, oh, even that was too much. But he has to take these like steps. And even in this movie, like he seemingly even has this. He calls Todd from eHarmony, and Todd is the guy who's going to be like helping him out with his profile, his dating profile, and it's a first step towards like starting to have a look at himself. Like, how are you viewing yourself? Are you adventurous in your life? What have you done? Have you been anywhere? He's trying to like write this profile. And you can see even as he starts to go into this and starting to look at himself, his mind, like he can see he has this kind of bland self-image. Like, I haven't done anything. I haven't been anywhere. And also, you'll see in this movie, he starts to kind of go into these little zoning out periods where his mind just goes into dream and these like dream sequences. And it's almost like his cover over his life has become so tight and his self-image is so small that he feels like it has to burst out somewhere else into fantasy, and he just totally zones out where he's blank. He can't, they're like tapping him on the head and he's like totally blank. And it's a reflection of us, of the mind that is trying to go to the past to look for something that feels like where it feels like its grandiosity is. It has a grandiose image of itself. And he plays things out like there'll be like an interaction that feels intense for him. And suddenly, instead of like looking directly at it and speaking up, he goes and he plays out some kind of defense in his dream where he's like totally courageous and he's fighting the person, or he's going on an adventure and he plays out these wild scenes. But it's all like this kind of cover over for a very small kind of self-image. But yeah, these little cracks start to happen. And he does have this opportunity to start to speak up, and the spirit gives an opportunity. And it's wonderful too because it's in this same vein of letting things fall away. And it seems to be just like uncomfortable. It seems to be uncomfortable at first. At his work, it seems that the company's being taken over. He works at this magazine, Life magazine, and he's been the negative asset manager is his job title. When photos come in, he's like, and there's all this like adventurous cover photos that come into Life magazine with people going out on adventures, and he gets all these reflections around him of great grand adventures, and he's down in the basement working with the photos of these adventures. He's managing his negative assets. And so he's down there, but this company is going to be like, they're going to make it into an online thing, and all these people are being let go of in his company. So seemingly things are falling away. It looks like his job is up for, he doesn't know if he's going to have the job much longer. That might all fall away. But it does create this crack where it's kind of like, and seemingly there's this big thing that comes in the movie where a photo goes missing. Like there's this very important photo for the final cover of the printed magazine of Life magazine, and he's responsible seemingly for this photo, but it goes missing. And the spirit is going to use this as like, he has this mission. I have to find the missing photo, and there's like clues to find the missing photo. But the spirit is using this whole setup for one to bring him closer towards Cheryl at his work, and she's helping him find the clues. But also, there's like an invitation there for him to take steps to step out of his work, and he's going to be invited to like go to another country to search for the photographer who's taken this photo and to find out, where's this missing photo? I can't find it. But he has to step outside of his comfort zone to take these first steps. And you'll see, like, he could have just played into the littleness, fallen into despair, but there's an invitation there to step out of that. So just in this kind of theme of littleness and moving out of littleness, I did want to read a little bit from chapter 15 in the course, Littleness versus Magnitude, because it just kind of gives a really setup for his state of mind. Be not content with littleness, but be sure you understand what littleness is and why you could never be content with it. Littleness is the offering you give yourself. You offer this in place of magnitude, and you accept it. Everything in this world is little because it is a world made out of littleness, in the strange belief that littleness can content you. When you strive for anything in this world, in the belief that it will bring you peace, you are belittling yourself and blinding yourself to glory. Littleness and glory are the choices open to your striving and your vigilance. You will always choose one at the expense of the other. Yet what you do not realize each time you choose is that your choice is an evaluation of yourself. Choose littleness, and you will not have peace, for you will have judged yourself unworthy of it. And whatever you offer as a substitute is much too poor a gift to satisfy you. It is essential that you accept the fact, and accept it gladly, that there is no form of littleness that can ever content you. You are free to try as many times as you wish, but all you will be doing is to delay your homecoming, for you will be content only in magnitude, which is your home. So it paints this beautiful picture. And I think we can all kind of relate to areas of our lives where we have kind of felt small, or it kind of hasn't felt as expansive as it could be. And I think, the ego puts things down to personal responsibility. Maybe there's some kind of thought in the mind of like, wow, I wish I could open up to God. I wish I could just feel like I'm living life on the edge. But I can't because my life looks this way, or family responsibilities or work responsibilities. And in the movie too, that's what our main character Walter is coming up against as well. You'll see he has like a very deep sadness in his mind, a hurt from the past, because when he was 17 in the movie, seemingly, he had a very close connection with his father, and his father was very encouraging of his adventurous wild side. He let him have a mohawk and these kinds of things. And he was really, really encouraging. And then his father suddenly dies when he's 17 and the family doesn't have much savings. And seemingly he changes into this role of like, okay, well, now I have to be the responsible one and take care of everybody. I got to put this adventurous side beside, like, put it to the side. Seemingly at that time too, he had a backpack ready to go traveling with a friend of his and a travel book his father had given him, a journal to fill out. And those things are left to the side for like 30 years and like left blank and in a box somewhere. And so he's taken on this false image of responsibility, being the responsible one. And it's meant to come in there almost of this, like with guilt of like, instead of really passionately chasing your dreams, you need to let go of that and you need to just kind of do what is right, do the right kind of thing. And he feels like his sister is the irresponsible one. He projects that onto her. She's the wacky one. So I have to step in and be even more responsible to take care of my family and everything. I found this. I was asking David AI about responsibility because it seems to be very deeply wound in, and sometimes we're just not even aware of how much we do out of this feeling of responsibility, or yeah, still playing like a role, like I should be the good son, and the good son does this, and or the good mother, or whatever it is. So this is what David AI said about responsibility, or false responsibility. False responsibility refers to the belief that one is responsible for various aspects of the world, such as linear time, ambitions, goals, regrets, grievances, and the body. The only true responsibility, according to the Course, is to accept the correction in your mind for the belief in separation. This acceptance of atonement is your sole responsibility and leads you back to divine innocence. Examples of false responsibilities include taking on responsibilities related to work, family, physical needs, maintenance tasks, and other external obligations that distract from accepting the correction for separation. By focusing on horizontal responsibilities rather than accepting atonement vertically, in the mind, individuals become entangled in a web of false responsibilities that hinder their spiritual growth and limit their experience of joy and freedom. The Course emphasizes that morality and ethics are constructs of the ego as well. While ethics may guide behavior based on societal norms, true purification comes from aligning thoughts with the Holy Spirit's guidance. And it goes on a little bit. True responsibility lies in aligning with divine truth within the mind and letting go of ego-based beliefs and judgments. So there's this web that we're hardly aware of responsibility in the mind that's telling us, keep little, just do your part. It looks like this. Don't step outside of that too much. And it's beautiful that Walter reaches this point in this movie where he's feeling like, and it's through this call for love, and it's where he starts to feel like his world is starting to tremble a bit. The job is starting to tremble. And at the same time, he's feeling this call for love. And that's starting to come into awareness even more, and this call for connection. And so, and there's this beautiful thing too, where he feels this connection to Sean O'Connell, who's the photographer, and he has a photo of him in his office. And Sean is played by, is it Sean, or he's played by Sean Penn. And let me see if I got the name right. Yeah, Sean O'Connell. And he's got this like adventurous photo in the office where he's got his camera and he's got his hand out and he's like seems to be gesturing to Walter, come, come. And he's like, and Sean is this symbol to Walter of total adventure and leaping into the unknown. By the way, that's my theme for the movie today, courageously leaping into the unknown, stepping into the unknown. So there's this opportunity there that Walter has to take these steps while he feels like his world is starting to shake. And you can see like he could try to do something else, like, okay, well, I'm just going to have to buckle down and try to find another job. But through the symbols that are given, he's actually feeling called to take a step out of his comfort zone. And you're going to see like he's going to like hop on a plane and going to fly to Greenland. And there's this really beautiful, expansive vistas in this movie too, where he steps out and it's just like totally unlike this basement that he's been living in for the past, 30 years or whatever it is. And it's going to be so expansive for his mind. Just not just the setting, but like this taking steps, and he has all these choice points that are going to come in. Will I just go back to littleness, or will I take this next step in trust with the spirit? You'll see like there can be like these kind of moments that feel like dangerous, like he's like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. But it's all like a setup from the spirit. Like he's actually safe each step of the way. But it's going to have to come down to a point of, will he let this calling for love in his heart be the thing that's going to draw him, or is he going to go back to safety again? And so that's a huge theme in the movie, is like he's going to have to find safety in the present moment. He's finding safety in the unknown, but he's really finding safety in the spirit, in the call of God, in the call of the heart. That's the one thing that truly keeps us safe, because living out of protection of the body is living in fear. And he's done that, and he's done that for all of his life. And now there's something more that's calling him. Yeah, so I don't know if there's much more to say about it at this point. But this is going to be such an adventure, and I'm going to, pause it a few times throughout. But it's such a wonderful one to watch. And I think I don't know why this movie has come back to me so many times through the years, because if there's ever a stuck point where you feel like you're just kind of going through like a to-do list, a day-to-day to-do list, or just feeling like, well, I don't know how to take another step, and this feels safe for me right now, but is there anything more? This movie is just such a can opener for the heart. Like it feels like it just totally opens things up. Like it introduces the question back into the mind. What if I could leap out? What if I could like just step forward, leap out with the spirit? And so it just invites this readiness in the heart, which I really love. So I kind of feel like, I at least watch this one once a year, and it's always to open things up again. And I think just as this year is starting out too, I feel like it's a really good one to set the tone. So if anyone's watching on YouTube or Facebook, you'd like to join us, you still can. We're here, got quite a big group here in the Zoom room. So yeah, you're very, very welcome. And I hope you all enjoy this movie. We're gonna go out on a big journey together, and so we can start it off. So enjoy. So I think this is a beautiful little setup he's got happening here. And I think it's a beautiful example too of like, how the ego judges all things as falling apart and can look at the symbols in life of what we've taken stability to mean and kind of go, oh my God, it's all going down the drain and I've lost the photo and my job is out the window. But him just kind of like still seeing the opportunity. The spirit is translating everything in a different way, seeing how all things work together for good, much higher good. Like he's had a very, very small self-image, but the ego just doesn't. I mean, when we're looking through that lens, we can't even perceive ourselves with any value of what it is we're capable of how much we're capable of. So I love it at this point, although things seem to be shaking a bit. He sees the opportunity in his heart, and it's like, there's Cheryl, and this opportunity is just being given me to actually connect. can put away eHarmony, can go direct to direct communication, start to get into this kind of collaboration and true communication. And you can just feel like, oh my God, thank God he's finally just taken the step there. So it's wonderful just to see how all things are now going to start to work together, even though it seems shaky in the form of his business of the company and everything. It's all going to unfold now for a much larger self concept that's going to come in for him, so we can keep going. So that's a wild scene. So you can see how wild it kind of gets in the mind too, when there's like a really small self concept, and then it's like it feels like such the victim of the world and such a victim of attack that it goes into these grandiose scenes in the mind where it kind of gets its revenge and it kind of gets on top. And it kind of reminded me of that section of the course, Grandeur of Grandiosity. And I just want to read a little bit from that. So it says, grandiosity, which is what he's doing in these dreams. Grandiosity is always a cover for despair. It is without hope because it is not real. It is an attempt to counteract your littleness based on the belief that littleness is real. Without the belief, grandiosity is meaningless, and you could not possibly want it. The essence of grandiosity is competitiveness, because it always involves attack. It is a delusional attempt to outdo, but not to undo. We said before that the ego vacillates between suspiciousness and viciousness. It remains suspicious as long as you despair of yourself. It shifts to viciousness when you decide not to tolerate self-abasement and seek relief. Then it offers you the illusion of attack as a solution. Yeah, and then I was kind of like wanting to feel a little bit more about what's going on in these kind of dream sequences. And so we know it's like something based on this little self-concept of the mind. And then these wild dreams seem to play out. So it says in dreams, and this is from this section, the basis of the dream, the passing of the dream. In dreams, you arrange everything. People become what you would have them be, and they do your order. No limits on substitution are laid upon you. For a time, it seems as if the world were given you to make it what you wish. You do not realize you are attacking it, trying to triumph over it and make it serve you. Dreams are perceptual temper tantrums in which you literally scream, I want it thus, and thus it seems to be. And yet the dream cannot escape its origin. Anger and fear pervade it. And in an instant, the illusion of satisfaction is invaded by the illusion of terror. For the dream of your ability to control reality by substituting a world that you prefer is terrifying. Your attempts to blot out reality are very fearful, but this you are not willing to accept. And so you substitute the fantasy that reality is fearful, not what you would do to it, and thus is guilt made real. So you can see in these attempts, there's actually some belief in the mind that reality is fearful. And that's why you have to be afraid and have to be in guilt, and because you're in hiding. And actually, it's not seeing that actually there's a huge love, the love of God that's calling us that we can open up to. Instead, it shifts to dreams of defense. Like there's something fearful out there that I got to protect myself of. I'm going to stay small. And so, like, we want to see how do these dreams become undone? And there's something, even in that little quote for Life magazine, there's something that says, coming closer, to want to go beyond the walls that block, and to want to go deeper and come closer towards one another, come closer towards my brother. And there's something about this opening up. And the spirit isn't really worried about all these dreams that are happening. He says, like, the sleeping dreams are the same as the waking dreams. Their content just seems to be different. But the spirit can use them all to come to a grander self-concept, a grander self-image, which we can then leap off into true forgiveness, and we can leap into atonement. And so there's this section further down about the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit ever practical in his wisdom, accepts your dreams and uses them as means for waking. You would have used them to remain asleep in a little self image. I said before that the first change before dreams disappear is that your dreams of fear are changed to happy dreams. That is what the Holy Spirit does in the special relationship. So he takes these special relationships we've made in the world and has a new way to use them. He does not destroy it, nor snatch it away for you, but he does use it differently as a help to make his purpose real to you. The special relationship will remain, not as a source of pain and guilt, but as a source of joy and freedom. So that's where the Holy Spirit is going to purify dreams so all of the fear is wiped out and only the love remains, only the happiness remains. It will not be for you alone, for therein lay its misery. As its unholiness kept it a thing apart, its holiness will become an offering to everyone. So it's beautiful because even though he has these seemingly like grandiose dreams, and you can see he's got so much energy, like his heart is calling out for something much more expansive than this little self-concept. And the spirit can use that calling. It's like, I know you have like this feeling in your heart that you're much larger than what you see yourself as now. And I can use that. But just take my hand and I'm going to lead you through these dreams and they're going to become these happy dreams where you feel connected to your brother instead of fighting against your brothers. I can use them for happiness instead. And you're going to see that's what's going to start to happen now. So as I said, like sleeping dreams are the same as waking dreams. And so it's just their content that's different. So seemingly he's going to go on this waking dream now where the spirit is guiding him through these very expansive scenes and he's going to start taking them step by step now. So let's keep going. Yeah, yeah. So he's just launching into this journey now. And it does look a bit wild in the beginning, but it's kind of all being working together for good. It's like the spirit is behind each step here. And, you know, he's gone from this very wild imagination, this inventive imagination, and somehow the spirit's using these wild scenes for him to play it out, but to use it in a direction. It's just like the fearful scenes are a reflection of the fear in his mind, but he's still taking the steps through. And I love it too that even when he was at the bar and, you know, he goes into one of those dreams again, but this time Spirit's using it to take him through with Cheryl, the symbol of love in his dream. And you can see it's like so involuntary, but he reaches this point where it's like a choice point. Like, do I go forward or do I go back? This seems to be really wild, and I don't know how to choose in the same way anymore. I can use my old style of choosing things and just like, okay, I know what feels right. Like this makes sense in the world. Or I wouldn't fly with a drunk pilot. That seems way too crazy. And he doesn't know how to make that decision. But you can see how spirit kind of gets into a momentum as well. When we give our yes and we really give a full yes, this momentum can happen and the steps can be quite quick. So he's in this rapid pace and things seem a bit wild. But I love it how he was at that choice point and he had his suitcase and he's like, he could go back and then he's like, oh my God, what do I do? And Cheryl comes in and he just steps with her. And he really feels like it's the spirit leading him at that point because he can feel his heart start to expand as he's taking those steps. And that's all we do on our journey. We just have to go with the heart each time, no matter what it looks like in the form, and just trust that spirit has our back no matter what happens. So it seems to be pretty wild looking. He jumps out the side of the plane, misses the boat, in the water, in the sharks and everything. And somehow spirit still has him. It's just looking a little bit wild in the form right now. So yeah, I think it's beautiful. And he's going to continue to take the steps now. And so, yeah, let's keep on going. Yeah. So I just wanted to point this bit out because it felt very sweet, but just seeing how the spirit works, you know, I think it's so great that even, you know, the car breaks down and like the bike, you know, crashed and whatever it was. And you're like, what's going on? And then it all seemed to be this opportunity. And then the skateboard is presented, you know, and then it makes that nice little connection with the boys and gets this skateboard. And it's all used as a tool because he had, this such a beautiful skill of skateboarding when he was young. And that seemed to be the point in his life where there was a fork in the road and he went into this responsibility fork instead of following his heart. And the skateboard symbol comes back for him. And it's like, okay, get on there, like get into it. And he's in the most epic scenery there could be in the world, the volcano and everything, but he's skating down and you can just feel like he's just kind of allowing himself to get back into that rhythm again, to get back into that flow, opening up. And it's so beautiful too, like the big volcano and that guy comes, picks him up, and then it pops him out at the Papa John's again. And allows him to have this beautiful moment with Cheryl of a heart opening connection again. Like Cheryl's in there again, and you can see how everything's just being used to open up his heart and open up that deep wound that was in his mind of the split, that split that happened when he was 17. And he gets to see it again, like even said like, yeah, he died on, on this day. The next day I went out and had to get the job, shaved my mohawk, and he's sharing it with Meryl, and she reflects, oh, that was a cool dad move, good dad move to let him, to shave your head. And he's like, yeah. And you can see there's just this, it's opening up these deep wounds that are there, but also remembering the past truly, like remembering only the good. It's like spirit is purifying the past when we come towards, our brother with an open heart in the spirit's plan, in the spirit's purpose. The past is seen anew. It's lightened on our heart again. It's like, there's like a sense of relief that comes in of like, I just saw it wrongly. I saw it through a dark lens, and there's another way of looking at it. So yeah, let's keep on going. Okay. Right, the adventure, the full adventure to the light, into the light of love, totally cracking through the past, totally having a heart opening. Yeah, there's this beautiful little part I wanted to finish up with from this section, What is the Holy Spirit? And it's all about this translation of our dreams of separation being translated into the light of love. The Holy Spirit mediates between illusions and truth, since he must bridge the gap between reality and dreams. Perception leads to knowledge through the grace that God has given him, to be his gift to everyone who turns to him for truth. Across the bridge that he provides are dreams all carried to the truth, to be dispelled before the light of knowledge. There are sights and sounds forever laid aside. And where they were perceived before, forgiveness has made possible perception's tranquil end. The goal the Holy Spirit's teaching sets is just this end of dreams. For sights and sounds must be translated from the witnesses of fear to those of love. And when this is entirely accomplished, learning has achieved the only goal it has in truth. For learning, as the Holy Spirit guides it to the outcome he perceives for it, becomes the means to go beyond it, to be replaced by the eternal truth. So that's it. All dreams are handed over to the Holy Spirit to be replaced by the light of truth. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for being with me on this journey again. I hope you had a heart opening with this movie. I love it for myself. I just feel it's very expansive. Yeah. Love you all so much. Yeah, thank you for joining me. Mwah.